We're dealing with a myriad of issues. I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties.
While it's still only 6% contained, and he did this little dance.
Something explosive just went down on Real Time with Bill Maar. And trust me, this one's going to rattle some cages. Now, we all know Bill Maar hasn't exactly been holding hands with the woke crowd lately. He's been swinging hard at the far left, calling out cancel culture and torching political hypocrisy. But what just happened with Governor Gavin Newsom? Nobody, and I mean nobody, saw this ambush coming. Bill didn't just ask tough questions. He went in like a sniper, sharp, cold, and unrelenting. And Newsom, he looked like he walked into a trap with no exit. Stammering, dodging, pivoting, you could practically see the sweat. It wasn't an interview, it was a public showdown. Maar cornered California's golden boy, forced him to defend every crack in his progressive armor. And the audience? Dead silent. You could hear the tension humming through the studio like a live wire. Who won this brutal back and forth? Did Newsom claw his way out or crumble under pressure? This wasn't just political theater, it was a verbal slugfest. And I've got the clip that proves it. Watch closely. This is the moment the room turned. Maher's machine gun questions, Newsom's uncomfortable shuffle, the gasps, the awkward laughter, and the exact second everything spiraled. Let's roll the tape.
You're good at the job. Not this year, we know. No, I know. But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but no, this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but he doesn't think you can win. What do you say to that if you could win look at the swing states, there's only 8 of them.
Right. Well, I mean, California is an interesting case study, isn't it? It's the size of 21 state populations combined.
Yeah.
2/3 of the state is very deeply red. We don't need to be lectured on rural politics or border issues. I mean, in so many ways, these are familiar issues, and the issues of the heartland of the United States are very much a part and parcel of the work we're doing in this state. But look, I understand this notion that you're from the coast, you don't understand those things. You can't talk the language. You're not able to communicate. And you're not able to actually encourage and find that common ground.
No, it's stuff like there's a new law in this. I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about. And this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I get it.
So do you think that's silly? Do you think that's a silly thing that we too much government there?
If you caught that moment, rewind and listen again. Because the audience's gasp wasn't just background noise. That was the sound of collective disbelief. Nobody thought Bill Maar would throw that legislative grenade right at Gavin's feet. And the look on Newsom's face? Priceless. Eyes wide, voice shaking, fumbling for a lifeline as the tension spiked. You could almost feel the panic creeping in. Maar didn't just ask a tough question, he unleashed a trap that Newsom clearly didn't see coming. It was like watching a cornered politician try to outmaneuver a lion with a smirk. A brutal, slow burn moment of pure political theater. And in that split second, the power dynamic flipped. Newsom wasn't the governor, he was the prey.
That's an interesting one because the department stores came to us supporting that. And they were the ones making a case for that. They were making a case, they're already moving in that direction.
Wanted you to make a law about them?
Well, but they supported the legislation. It wasn't legislation that was enacted, that was initiated from my office, but it was legislation that came up with interesting support from the industry itself. But I understand how that's exploited, and good people can disagree. But that's not something we woke up and said, this is a top priority for the state, when we know the top priorities are homelessness, housing, the issues of crime, quality of life, and issues related to regulation and taxes, which are all top of mind. But I get how those things are weapons.
Here's where things got really dicey. The question, straightforward. Does Gavin Newsom honestly believe it's the government's job to strong-arm toy stores into creating gender-neutral aisles if they've got over 500 employees? Simple, right? But instead of giving a clear, honest answer, Newsom throws up a smokescreen. Suddenly, we're off on some scenic tour through corporate compliance and vague endorsements from big box retailers. Convenient. Nice try, Governor. But nobody asked if Target was cool with it. The question was about government overreach. And you dodged like your career depended on it. This is the playbook. When progressives get pressed on their own policies, they pivot, stall, and hope the audience forgets what was actually asked. It's like watching someone twist themselves into a political yoga pose just to avoid saying the obvious. But here's where Maher flips the script. He doesn't attack, not at first. He softens the ground, lays down a compliment, lures Gavin in with charm, and then, boom, he drops the hammer. Listen closely. This is where the whole tone changes.
All right, so one, I got you here because I live here and I'm not going anywhere. So I just want to make this a better state like everybody else.
Amen.
And good job this year making it rain.
You're welcome.
That
was my legislative priority.
Maher slips in a sly compliment. Just enough sugar to make Gavin shift in his seat. You can see it on his face. That tight smile, that twitch. He knows a storm's coming. And that awkward chuckle from the audience, that wasn't laughter. That was nervous anticipation. Everyone in the room could feel it. Like watching a magician set up a trap, and the rabbit's already halfway inside. Newsom, with all the polish of a career politician, was revving up for his moment to shine. But Maher snatched the spotlight before he even opened his mouth. And when Maher struck, it wasn't a jab. It was a demolition. The line landed with the force of a televised takedown. Newsom stumbled. The crowd recoiled. And Maher, he leaned back with that signature smirk, watching the chaos he'd just unleashed. This wasn't just a political stumble. It was a live-on-air implosion.
We don't have enough water in the Colorado River and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then whenever I read, 80% of the water goes to agriculture. Almonds.
Right.
No one ever asked you about almonds? Oh, I'm going to ask you about almonds. We grow a boatload of almonds
I'm well
here.
aware.
You know how much water it takes?
Many gallons.
1,900 gallons to grow a pound of almonds.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Take on Big Almond.
Take on Big Almond.
I mean, it's not like we don't have the water.
Then came another blistering curveball from Maher, and this one hit a nerve. For years, California officials have cried wolf about devastating water shortages, swearing the rivers were running dry. But guess what? Turns out the water was never the real problem. Because a jaw-dropping 80% of it being sucked dry by almond farms. That's right, almonds. The thirsty little divas of California agriculture, draining as much water as every single household combined. And all for a crop that barely registers 2% of the state's economy. You can't make this up, so Maher hits him with the obvious. If almonds are bleeding the system dry, what on earth is Gavin Newsom doing about it? And that's where the dance begins. Newsom doesn't answer. He performs, spinning, dodging, pivoting like he's in the finals of Dancing with the Stars, hoping nobody notices the total lack of substance in his reply. But Maher, he's not buying the footwork. He's watching, waiting, and ready to strike again.
Extreme years with these atmospheric rivers. Wets are getting a lot wetter, dry's drier, hot's getting a lot hotter. And so we've got to modernize our conveyance system. We've got to modernize our storage, not just above ground, but below ground. And so that's a big part of our focus and frame, including desalinization plants. We have 20 projects just on desal that we're working on today. So we put out a detailed water strategy that includes, by the way, getting that Delta Conveyance project back up and operational, and includes the first above ground off stream storage facility in half a century in the state, which, by the way, is being aided by a regulatory package I pushed forward to reduce red tape in the state of California and address the permitting quagmires that you rightfully pointed out.
Did you catch that avalanche of nonsense? Because I did, and it was textbook deflection. Maher asked a simple question: what's Newsom doing about almonds guzzling 80% of California's water? But instead of a straight answer, Gavin spirals into a fog of rainwater storage and eco-buzzword babble. Classic misdirection. The truth? California isn't out of water. It's just drowning it in almonds, a crop that barely dents the economy, yet drinks like it owns the state. But Newsom danced, dodged, and dressed it up like policy. And Maher, he wasn't buying a word. That smirk said it all. He knew Gavin was bluffing. And that's why Maher stands out. He'll call BS even when it's from his own side. This interview proved one thing. When the woke crowd is forced to explain themselves, the whole narrative crumbles like a gluten-free cookie in a Berkeley cafe.
You're good at this job. Okay, but
Newsom's a master of the dodge, and that's exactly why he avoids interviews that might actually hold him accountable. Can't risk the truth slipping out, right? And Maher? His razor-sharp sarcasm in this moment says everything. You can tell he sees Newsom for what he is. A slick operator, all polish, no punch. The kind of guy who can ramble for 5 minutes and say absolutely nothing, and still act like he just delivered a TED Talk. But Maher's not fooled, and neither should we be. And just when you think Newsom's spin couldn't get any worse, buckle up. What he says next is stunning.
I feel like the last couple of years you've purposely picked this fight with the red states. I mean, the DeSantis. Yeah, but I don't want to live in the Civil War country.
I agree with that.
You know what?
Well,
but you seem like you purposely want to set up this dichotomy between, this is a blue state and that's a red state. Yeah. And I don't want to live in that country. I like Florida.
I'm with you. And by the way, I like Florida as well. I like all these states. I completely agree. I don't want to have a state of mind that's a constant fight or flight. We've gone through so much. We've been polarized and traumatized. This has been a tough 5-6 years across the globe, not just in this country. That said, I'm not going to sit back and watch. You made the point just a moment ago in your monologue. You got folks out there trying to bring us back to a pre-1960s world. America in reverse, rolling back voting rights, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, not just access to abortion, but contraception. I mean, it's a profound and consequential moment. And you could sit by and say, well, I really want to get along as these guys are rolling back the clock, or you can stand tall and assert yourself. And the reason I started to go into those red states, the reason I started to take on DeSantis, and the reason I started doing ads in these red states is I didn't feel my party was doing enough. It was CRT one year, and then it's ESG, and it's DEI, anything with 3 letters. These guys keep coming, and they're shape-shifting.
And just like clockwork, bam! Another woke monologue straight out of the progressive playbook. But this time, Newsom managed to pack the entire delusion into under a minute. A new personal record in political gaslighting. He didn't just dodge criticism, he demonized it, labeled anyone who questions the woke agenda as shapeshifters, trying to drag America back to the 1960s. Because in Gavin's world, disagreeing with radical policy isn't dissent, it's bigotry with a time machine. This is the same crowd pushing biological men into women's sports, forcing shared bathrooms, and shaming anyone who dares raise a concern. They're rewriting the rules, dismantling merit, and demanding kids make life-altering decisions before they even know how to spell decision. And when parents push back, they're smeared as dangerous extremists. This isn't progress, it's ideological warfare. And Newsom, he's not just complicit, he's commanding the charge. Should we be shocked? Hardly. This is the same guy who claimed speculators were circling wildfires while flames were still devouring the state. Even Joe Rogan had to pause and ask, is this guy serious? What Newsom just said isn't politics. It's a red flag waving in plain sight.
The governor gave this creepy speech where he was talking about speculators coming in and talking about what to do with the land of all these homes that have been burnt down.
We're dealing with a myriad of issues. I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties.
While it's still only 6% contained. And he did this little dance, like, I've been talking with the governor of Hawaii about what to do. We've got some ideas, a speculator, we're going to have some meetings.
And the like, so we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just weeks.
It's so creepy.
So when I say the woke elite are selfish power players hiding behind a mask of morality, believe it. They chant buzzwords like compassion, equity, and justice from their taxpayer-funded podiums, but the second there's money on the table, that fake virtue vanishes faster than Newsom at a press conference. While real Californians were literally fighting to stop their homes from burning to ash, Newsom was busy calculating profits. Relief efforts, policy change, emergency response. Please. That wasn't the priority. The only emergency Gavin saw was how to squeeze more personal gain out of a disaster. And let's not forget, this is the same man who slapped lockdowns on small businesses while secretly fine dining at Napa's elite French Laundry. The same climate crusader who yells about carbon footprints from the window of a private jet. The same man of the people who governs from gilded towers while the people sleep in tents on LA sidewalks. And yet, the woke mob still bows down, treating him like some progressive messiah. Why? Because it's never been about truth. It's never been about the people. It's about power, optics, and unshakable control. This is the blueprint of every woke politician. Promise utopia, deliver chaos, and build fortresses for themselves while the rest of us live in the ruins. They destroy the economy, hollow out public trust, and then step back with a smirk. Untouched, unfazed, and fully paid, Newsom and his clique don't feel the impact of their own catastrophic policies. You do. They don't lose their jobs, their homes, or their future. You do. And as long as their bank accounts keep growing, they will never stop. This is the darkest irony. They preach equality while enforcing division, claim to empower women while erasing them, and wave the flag of democracy while crushing every voice that dares to dissent. Gavin Newsom? He's not a leader. He's a polished fraud with a PR machine, a crisis profiteer who dodges responsibility like it's a sport, all while the woke echo chamber cheers him on. And the scariest part? They don't even care about the consequences, because they've insulated themselves from them. For the woke mob, it's never been about what's right. It's always been about what keeps them in charge. And on that blistering note, we slam the curtain down on today's takedown. If this rattled your nerves, good. If it made you question the puppets behind the podium, even better. That means you're awake, not woke. If you appreciated this no-holds-barred breakdown of political hypocrisy, smash that like button into the ground, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss another truth bomb aimed straight at the heart of the elite echo chamber. Because while they're out there gaslighting the masses, rewriting reality, and cashing in on chaos, we'll be right here, pulling the curtain back, exposing every lie, and calling it exactly how it is. So, until next time, stay sharp, stay skeptical, and whatever you do, don't let the woke smoke fool you. Not now, not ever.